Stefania.
Hello, Zanetta. How are you?
Oh, it's Friday. It is Friday.
And
So,
it's fun and fresh.
Fun Fresh Friday.
Yay!
Yay! Yeah. I wanted to start off the show with, um, for those of you that watch us on the replay or, catch us on live, as you know, that we started a little early today because,
Yes.
because us hosts have a life. And even though it's in the evening here in the US, it's daytime over there in Australia. And, Stefania is so gracious and so kind and so loving that she needs to take care of a loved one. So that's the reason why we had a change on our time. And also, for those that watch us that, uh, subscribe or have not, please do. Go to our YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube, and click on the bell so that you can be notified when we're going live. Because you never know what time we're going to come on. But thank you. I really want to thank you for those of you that are watching, and for those of you that are commenting, and those of you that are watching during the live, and also those that are, watching during the replay. I really do. We thank you. We thank you. We couldn't do this without you. And hello, Anitra. Welcome. We couldn't do this without you. Without your support, without your, your continued, um, showing of love and the comments and the different things that we get. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Um,
Thank you.
but
And thank
we
you.
would
And thank
love, yes, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say thank you too for adjusting the time a little bit for me too, Zanetta, because I don't normally
Yeah,
do this stuff, but I thought I just can't get out of this one. Usually I can weave my way and work things out. So
yeah,
appreciate it.
of course. Anytime, anytime. And, just to let you know that we are humans and we do have things that we need to take care of, especially when it comes to loved ones. So, if you have not subscribed, please do so. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Mine is Redefine Me, and Stefania is the Gentleman Square. And also for our Facebook, join us, get the, join the Gentleman Square if you're a male.
Mm. And also, I have a new group too
Yes.
for men,
Yeah.
for successful men wanting to find their ideal partner. So I can put a link down below. Any male, single male that wants to join, or there may be someone that is in a relationship and wants to still pick up some info. Please do, because I'm going to be having weekly webinars. That'll be starting really soon too.
That is amazing. And let me tell you, I have a glimpse of what she does, and let me tell you, it's great. Um, but our topic for today.
Yes, of course. Back to
So,
our topic.
yeah. And, you know, because I had said something so intelligently that made me kind of tilt my head, because she asked me what topic are we talking about today. And I said, for the podcasters, YouTubers, Instagrammers, influencers, we buy their products, we listen to their advice, we give them hours of our time to take up space mentally. So, but how well do we know them? How well do we know these influencers or these people that we follow on social media? And her question was, she said, wouldn't that affect you as well, Mom? Because I see you as an influencer. I said, well, I don't. I don't see myself as an influencer. I just give information. That's all I do. Just give information. And she said, wouldn't they kind of not, you know, watch you because they don't really know you? Well, because of, of that comment, you're gonna get to know us. You're
Go
gonna
ahead.
get to know us.
Mm.
So as I, started the program, the talk, Stefania has, some things that she need to attend to, and that something is she takes care of her mother, and that's a human part of what we do, what we experience, and sometimes the influencers, sometimes the YouTubers, sometimes the Instagrammers, the people on Facebook, they don't show that vulnerability side, that side of, this is my responsibility. I have to take care of this. And sometimes those responsibilities, those things that we are, we have a heart for, can get to us. We get tired. We get exhausted. I have been battling. Well, I have a, what they call a functioning migraine. I can function, but there are times where I'll just have to just lay down because there are certain things in my life right now that I'm facing, and yet I'm still showing up, just to give time to those that are listening, for those that are following, what we think about certain topics, our opinions, and we give our experiences. Um, and so we don't say, this is what you need to do, this is what you, no, it's all up to you. You have a brain that God gave you or that God created for you. Use it. Use it to judge, use it to the best of your ability to to figure out if this influencer or if these people that are on social media are giving you solid, you know um, experiences that can you can relate to. So there are things that we'll say, I don't know anything about that because that never happened to me. I'm not going to fake the funk, right? So there's this, I just wanted to, just as an example, there is this video. It was sent to me. I'm not going to mention any names. This person will know who I'm talking about. But it was a video of these group of people that made a huge Ouija board. And you know how it's either on Facebook, TikTok, or however, when someone show something in the background and they react to it, they give their opinion or they react to it. So this is what they're showing in the background, that these group of people had created or made this huge human size Ouija board. And so this person is just like irate. They're opening portals, they're having the demons and come in. So know your source. you know so I made a comment. The comment was, you know and this is my opinion, nothing about anybody else, this is me. Religious people give too much power to the powerless. Because like the previous episode that we had was AI. We're being so influenced by AI that we don't use our brains anymore. For example, that huge human sized Ouija board. What power do they have to open up a portal? If that's the case, then NASA should be coming down there and trying to figure out how the heck are these people being able to open up a portal? Which way is a portal? Is it up or is it down? you know,
Or
so,
sideways.
oh,
So,
exactly, or sideways. Yeah. So we're giving too much of these things on social media, and, the influencers and things like that. How well do we really know these people? Are they there really for giving you solid information, or are they there for a reaction, a like, a share, uh, millions of views, going viral, things like that. So um, as you can see, we don't go viral. And the reason why we don't go viral is because we don't create, or I don't want to, we don't do drama. we do. Hey, Monica Young is here. Yeah,
Hi, Monica.
we don't do that. We don't become viral because we're talking about everyday living. We're talking about using this up here. We're talking about things that can that can possibly help you, that we've gone through, because not all of us have answers. Not all of us don't have that kind of friend. All of us don't have that family. All of us don't have the therapist. All of us don't have these certain things that we might have. And so for us to, listen and give them hours of our lives, and then next thing you know, you find out this person is was caught doing this and now is in jail, and you're like, oh my God. Not saying that what they were saying didn't help, but get to know what you're spending your time on, spending your hours on, and yeah, just be careful. That's all we're saying. So here we are, just like you and everybody else that have family issues.
Yes, we do. We're real.
Yes, we're
We're real.
real. We're real. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's I love this topic, Zanetta, and I'm glad that you know, brought it up. And I guess Keziah really started the ball rolling, right, with her asking you. And but it's a really valid point that you're making, and I think we have to be more discerning.
Mm-hmm.
We're being told, and we get, I guess, uh, educated to know who like your five closest people you hang out with are the ones that will influence your life. Well, the same thing goes with social media, right? What are your favorite platforms that you like to follow, and what information are they giving you? But what do you know about that person? And really, the majority of people, we don't really know much about them,
No,
do we?
no,
We
no.
don't. And I think, like you said, we're not viral yet, but when we get there, they'll know everything about it because we've been talking about it all the time, right?
Right.
So some people that are out there that we won't mention names, like the big, the big show people that have really done some good service to the people of the world. Let's face it, they've helped them transform, they've helped them evolve, they've helped enlighten them in so many ways. But I think when you can actually get to know a bit more about that person and know that, hey, they've done the walk, they're not just talking the talk but not done the walk.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is also a big factor to look at, because where are
Yeah.
they gaining? Is it only experience? Is it only what they've read in texts? Is it only courses they've done, studies, degrees they've gotten? There's this really interesting question, kind of diverge a little bit, but when I take my mum to see a specialist, for example,
Mm-hmm.
or even doctors, new doctors that we have to go to because something else has popped up, right? And when I meet the doctor for the first time, because of course I take her and I do all the questions and translate for mum. She speaks, but whenever she can't speak and express herself properly in English, I kind of like step in. But my last question, the question I always ask every doctor that
Mm-hmm.
consults my mother or myself, thank God I don't see doctors very often. I love them, but don't see them on a regular basis. But I always say, why did you become a heart specialist? Or why did you become, a lung specialist, a doctor who specializes in lungs? Or, my dad, when he used to have blood treatment, oncologist. Why did you become an oncologist? And the last doctor I asked was my dad's doctor, and he was a cardiologist. And he looked at me and he said, I've been in practice for 40 years. And he goes, and nobody ever has asked me that question. And
Wow.
yeah. And I said to him, oh, I said, have I offended you? Because I thought, oh, I've stepped on some grounds here, but it's an
Mm-hmm.
innocent question, just curious, the curious me that I am.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, no, no, no. He goes, I'd be happy to share with you. And he did. And you see, when he did, to me, it kind of solidified his passion for helping heal his patients. And
Mm-hmm.
that just was like, wow. And they've all answered my question, every
Mm-hmm.
one of them.
Mm-hmm.
They might be taken back. Um, another doctor, the lung specialist who was looking after my father, he goes, now, can I ask you, why did you ask me that question? And
And
I
what
just
was your answer?
Well, my answer to that was, I'm just really curious as to, what took you down that path. Was it your own illness? Was it an illness of your family? And for that doctor, he said that it was his father that had lung issues, and he went down that route to, because he was so passionate and knew so much about the lungs. And I was like, wow, to me, that's like, okay, I'm knowing a little bit more about this doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're talking about doctors here, but influencers and people that, are out there coaching, consulting, I think that's the same thing stands, don't you think?
Yeah, yeah, it does. It does. And that's the reason why I wanted to do this because I was thinking about you.
You
The
were?
reason why
My
this
ears were
topic,
burning. My ears were like, "Oh, they're
yeah,
on
yeah.
fire."
And the reason why I picked this topic is um because on Saturday, what happened on Saturday, we'll
Last
we'll
Saturday,
yes,
are we talking about the segment we
the
had?
webinar, the webinar,
Oh, the
yes.
webinar. Oh, that was another, yes, okay.
That was very juicy and spicy and it took a lot of emotion for me to be that vulnerable. And I like what you did because you like Zanetta, are you gonna be nice? I'm like, nope, I am not gonna be nice. Because when someone has a title of a doctor, medical doctor or doctor, that gives a an impression automatically that you are a subject matter expert, that you have been trained, that you have this, knowledge beyond those that are, people like me that don't have a doctorate degree or doctorate, because Jeff gets upset when I say doctorate degree. He says a doctorate. You see how much I care. But it's it just it hit me so hard that this person is teaching this.
Mm.
How many are believing him? How many are saying, you know what? Yeah. So, so it just it blew my mind. It really hit home, and then I realized, wow, people don't know me. They just see, Zanetta, redefine me. I'm a coach. I'm a, investigator. I'm this, I'm that. And I have a master's degree in counseling. And I can give all of these, I can shove you my resume, and people would look at me and be like, oh, then you must be a subject matter expert. But I want you to know me. That's just what I do. This is what I do, but this is who I am. I want that sparked a conversation. I had a meeting within me, me, myself, and I. I had a business meeting
Okay.
inside my brain that Stefania is a woman and she coaches men, and her title or her group is called the Gentleman Square, and it kind of puts off Americans because of the title. And so I said, let's do a show about how well do you know these influencers? How well do you know these YouTubers and Instagrammers and Facebookers or whatever, however you want to call it. And I want the audience to get to know you. Why the Gentleman Square? Now I get to ask those questions that you ask your doctor. Why the Gentleman Square? What is so? Um, what is something? Because title is everything, right?
Mhm.
Title is everything. It catches, catches on. It catches people, um, and it's kind of the cover. You know, what we say, don't judge the book by its cover. It's kind of what our first impression is. We're always taught first impression is the most important impression. That's a lie.
Big lie. Huge lie.
The biggest lie that has ever been told and sold.
Yeah. People need
First
to.
impression is not a lasting impression, it's not the most important impression. What is important is the after. Get to know that individual, because a person, I finally met them, virtually, and I was labeled as spicy. I was labeled as, "Woo, you came off too strong." But then when this individual got to know me, they were like, "Oh, I understand. You don't like to waste time." I don't. I don't like to waste your time. I don't like to waste my time. I don't like to waste anybody else's time, because what we want, is the what is the agenda? That this is me. What's the agenda? Let's talk about it. Let's get to it. Um, Good gosh, there's a lot of comments here. We'll get to your comments in just a minute. So, what's the agenda? Let's get to it. If this is a business meeting, this is a business meeting, right? We're not gonna talk about, no, business. If we're gonna, uh, um, you know, say, hey, let's chat for a little bit. Okay, well, let's chat. They get to see this side, my goofy side. A lot of people don't really know my goofy side. Monica can speak on my goofy side. Monica Younker, she knows me very well. She can speak to my goofy side. So, and for those that, that only know me professionally, they will see me and they will like, Zanetta? She would what? No. Oh, no, she wouldn't do that. Oh, if you only knew what I would do. So let's dig in, and audience, we're get we're going to get to know one of your influencers, one of the people that takes up your mental space, that you allow to come in and give you nuggets, that allow to give you these pointers and these things that she is so passionate about. We're going to get to know Stefania.
Oh, putting me
She
on the
didn't know this, by the way.
spotlight. Yeah, I just like.
Yeah, yeah. She didn't know about this. She probably thought we were going to talk about influencers and all of those other people. No, no.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
we're
Well,
going to get to know Stefania. So, first, Stefania,
one on one. One with Stefania. Oh, well,
when,
actually, my webinars are going to be called what we got? A date with Stefania. So,
yeah, oh, yes,
so everyone
yes,
gets to have a date, a group
yes,
date.
that'll be wonderful because okay, so me being American, me being westernized, or when I hear the phrase or the title, the gentleman square,
Yes.
immediately
Okay,
my
so let me
mind.
ask you, what immediately what comes to your mind? I'm curious to know how you interpret. What is your perception?
Yeah, when you first told me about that, I was like, and I'm being honest. I
No,
was like,
right.
does
So
that
what
come
came
with
to
a
mind? What came to
does
mind?
that come with a pole? Does that come with a pole?
Mm,
And so no, but then you explained it to me, and because I lived in the Netherlands, I lived in. I frequent Germany. We've been to Italy. We've been to not Italy. These other places in Europe. And when you explained it to me, duh, yes,
right, right.
exactly, yes, it makes perfect sense.
Sense. So can you
So
just for the
yeah,
audience just be a little bit more clear? Because I know you
sure.
said poll, and that doesn't really like, let's be clear about it, Zanetta. Let's
Yeah,
talk
sure.
openly because
Yes,
this is
yeah.
what we
I will
do.
be very honest. I
Yeah,
thought, yeah, I thought it was like a dating kind of thing, like a gentleman, gosh, club,
right.
where the men go to watch
Women
pole
strip,
dancers.
pole dancers.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, pole dancers and pay and do all of this stuff, and so that's what came to my mind. Then, not only that, but because you look so voluptuous, because you look so sexy, because you have this image of what guys or gentlemen, square type kind of men, you have that persona that immediately solidified it. You see
Mm,
what I mean when it comes to the cover,
mhm.
the first impression. Oh, I'm the founder of Gentleman Square. Is she a madam? She proud of that?
I
What?
love it. I
Isn't
love it.
that illegal? Does she know that? Yeah. So yeah, that was the impression. So
Um,
I'm pretty sure if
mm,
I had that
I love
first
it.
impression, if I have that first, kind of like, "Whoa, should I be
Mhm.
friends with her? I should not be associated with her."
Is
So
that why I don't have a lot of female friends?
there you go.
Well, let's ask the audience what is their impression, and if you don't
Yes.
know
What
what
is your
my
impression
if
about
you
the
go to
Gentleman
the
Square?
Gentleman's Web business page,
Before,
my Facebook profile,
yeah,
check it out.
before we explain it, before I give the floor to Stefania to
Mm.
explain the name, the theory or the meaning behind the name, the Gentleman Square. So,
Well, thank you for explaining that, Zanetta. And,
Yeah.
you are not the only one that has had that reaction,
Mm.
particularly women. Women are a little bit more expressive, like you. Some men have been too. And say, "Oh, what is this? This is a club?" Like, and I'll say, "No, it's more like a community of men,
Yeah.
And they think they join the group thinking they're going to hook up with another female. But like a few men have said, there's no women in this group. Where are the women? It's like, well, it's not.
Mm.
It's not that
Duh.
kind of group, And
Yeah.
I think it's very clear, even in my explanation and everything,
Yeah.
and even in the questions that I asked prior to entering the group. Okay. So yeah, you're not the only one that has had that impression or gets that perception of what the Gentleman's Square is all about. So how did the Gentleman's Square come about? How did the title come about? Because really, gentlemen, what's wrong with gentlemen? I mean, let's go back to the 1920s, 1930s, 40s, 50s. Every young guy that was, hitting 18, 20, they wanted to be a gentleman to their ladies, right? They wanted to express chivalry and man of mastery, man of confidence, man of all this. So
Mhm.
back then, if we said gentleman, or we'd call someone by yes, sir, this gentleman
Mhm.
is next, it wouldn't be a problem, right?
Mhm.
However, in today's times, 2023, somehow it's become this um,
Perverted.
word, which it's not like saying it's the men's club. It's a square. And what is a square? Do men
Mm.
hang out at a club that's a square? It could be a round club, right? It could be pole dancing club where the room is round, that everyone gets to get an even view of the dancer. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, okay. So going back to how I came about it. So some people may know that I lived in Italy for 7.5 years, from 2013 to 2020. And during that time, I did a lot of traveling, but I lived predominantly in one place, in Syracuse, in the southern part of Sicily. And if anyone has traveled to Sicily, they would know, or any part of Italy really, because Italy, and especially the little villages or the little cities, even the big ones, they would have a cathedral, in Italian, il Duomo. And usually in any, like where there would be a church, a cathedral, there would always be a square, a piazza,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So it would be labeled La Piazza, which means the square.
The square.
The square, which, is it in New York? You have Times Square?
Times Square.
Times Square. So what is it? It is a square where people
It is a
congregate
square.
and come
Yeah.
together and play, sit in a
Mhm.
park, talk,
Mhm.
rollerblade,
Yeah.
run, all sorts of things, right? Shoot movies, photo shoots, whatever.
Right.
And so every day I would walk through this particular piazza in Ortigia, which is the main city of Syracuse. And in the piazza, I would always see men seated, having coffees, the espressos. If it was lunchtime or mid-morning, I'd see them play those games, those board games, or
Mhm.
cards in the afternoon,
Mhm.
and it would really be filled with men predominantly.
Yeah.
Sure, there'd be women, but there'd be a lot of men. And when I was walking and when I was trying to look for a title for, you know, for my business, for helping men, I said,
Mhm.
this piazza, it's full of men. La piazza degli uomini. Degli uomini means of men.
Mhm.
La piazza degli uomini. And then I went to my English I was having this business meeting, as you would call
Uh-huh. Yes.
it,
Yes.
in my head, and I translated, I said, "The Gentleman's Square. It's a square full of gentlemen. Men hang out here. It's a place where, and I know I was in Italy and I wasn't thinking in terms of what Americans would think, what Australians would think, what, people of other parts of the world would think. But to me, that sort of solidified, men coming together in a square. And then what really, I like took it a step further, and I said, the square. Now, everyone says men are so linear. Men are just like, they like to compartmentalize everything. In their brain, they have this compartment, that compartment, you in a compartment, the kids in a compartment. And what perfect? A compartment is a square, a box, really, because
Mm-hmm.
the files are in there and they put them in that file box in
Right.
that
Right.
square. And a box is usually square. And I went, yeah, it's perfect. The Gentleman's Square. So that is, the birth of
Uh-huh.
the Gentleman's Square. So
Yeah.
to me, I just didn't think about the men's clubs or, what it could sort of how it could provoke people's minds and get them thinking. But what was really, I kind of liked it because at first it was like, yeah, like you, I had a lot of people, go, what kind of name's that? I even had a coach and said, Stefania, I think we need to change your name. I said, what? It's like, why? It's like, I was so attached. I gave birth to this name.
Mm-hmm.
And and then I explained it, but I guess he saw it the same way, but then it had a curious effect on people, particularly the men and women, because they'd want to check me out and say, "Oh, who's this woman? What is she all about?"
Right.
And the men would check out to see if I was, I don't know, selling porn or doing whatever, on the Gentleman's Square. So, yes, it's not about that, but it created curiosity. Now, whether that suited that man when they came to see my profile could have been yes, could have been no. It didn't matter. But I like the fact that it sparks curiosity
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, I really don't care what people think.
Right.
I really
Right.
don't. And I say that in the most, loving
Loving way.
possible way because, what do they say? Whatever, um, what people say and think about you is none of your business. So if you don't make it your business, it's not going to worry you. It's not going to
Right.
affect you. So, yeah. And I'm completely opposite to what most people may think that I am. Yes, I am all woman. Yes, I am. God has created me like this. I have a lot of feminine energy. I'm, you know, have the curls. I don't know. Have I dye my hair blonde. Originally I was dark, but I like it blonde. Why not? Other people dye their
It
hair.
suits you.
So whatever the image they have of me, that's their own image. But yeah, get to know me as a person and what I actually provide and do and how I can help you. And this is what happens when my clients actually connect with me or someone that is a prospect, for example, that wants to chat and have a little conversation, pick my brain, they realize that, I don't know, whatever has gone on in their head of their perception of me
Yeah.
um, is totally different,
Yeah.
is totally different. And I'm so grounded. Sometimes I think I'm too grounded. I need to just get up off the ground a little bit and just be a little bit lighter. But yeah, that's how the Gentleman's Square began.
There you go, folks. Now that you know the story behind it,
Yeah,
um, what do you think now? So here's what I know is because even when we went to Spain and Portugal, they had the piazzas, they had the squares,
right.
and I would think of you. I was like, oh, there's the Gentleman Square right there. And I
Mm.
saw the camaraderie. I saw, these old men just
Right.
talking away. And, when you see that, because you don't see that here in America anymore, it's like a dinosaur.
Right. It
Um,
used to be. It used
it used to be.
if you watch the old movies, you
Yes,
would
it
think
used to
that
be.
they would come
Yeah.
together.
Yeah. And they would sit there and talk and drink and laugh, and and it was really, kind of like refreshing. I mean, it was like, yes, you know, this is what Stefania is trying to get at, and so it's amazing what we use, because I told this to I was teaching Kazaya today, and every day is like a teachable moment. And I told her, I said, we have an emotional brain. We have a part of our brain that is emotion, and that emotion is attached to memory. And we can only remember the the extreme excitement, the extreme happiness, and the extreme of pain, hurt, abandonment, and all of that. So those are the two things. So when somebody starts to say something like the Gentleman Square, there's an emotion attached to it and a memory. So there's a memory attached to it, and then the women, especially the Western women, they immediately think that's where my marriage failed. That's where my relationship failed. But they don't know this. They don't know that this is happening, um, and that's what turns them off. I'm like, if I have a husband or if I have a man, I'm not going to tell him to go see some Stefania. She might steal him. Look, I'm just being honest. That's just the thought, because that's the memory. That's the memory that comes with it, the emotion, and then the memory attached to it. So when we start to see certain people, or when we start to hear certain things, there's a memory attached to it, and then we judge. That's what it is. So what we need to do is we need to sit down a little bit longer, listen with an open mind, open heart, a little bit longer, and try to see, before we come up with this, immediate, um, not conclusion, but this immediate thought, and give it a chance. Listen for a little bit, just a little, and ask questions. You know, so what do you do, Stefania? What's the Gentleman's Square? What is that all about? You
Yeah.
know, yeah, if we have a conversation, let's have a conversation. Let's find out what it really is. Get to know the individual. What is it about that individual that draws you to them? There is a lot of comments here. Even Wayne didn't know. Wayne Preston. He was
What?
like, the suspense is killing me. He was writing all that. Hi, Natalie. so, so yeah. Hi, Wayne. He had to go. I think Wayne had to go. But yeah, he didn't know the concept behind the Gentleman Square.
There you go.
And isn't that amazing? That if you just ask the right questions, you'll get the answer. So, what made you transition? Because I know you were a fitness coach, and then you were a women's coach, and now you transition into male coach. So, what what kind of thought process, or what led you to go into that arena? Because the reason why I'm going to ask that, and I want you to explain thoroughly as to what happened and why you went that way, Because sometimes we start something and we think that that's it. We can't deviate from it. Oh no, because I already did all of this, and I've invested so much time and money on I can't just leave it. I can't just say no. I'm going to turn this way. So give a you know as to what kind of struggle did you have in changing from fitness to women to men. Now you're steady on the men.
Right.
Give us the struggle, give us the self sabotage talk, or the talk that you was going within you, even the outside talk that was coming to you about you becoming a men's coach.
Okay, so that's a pretty loaded question. um, excuse me. Well, yep, and prior to that, I was a hairdresser too. You forgot about
Oh yes.
my first career, which I was a stylist and styling both men and women's hair. And so I've always had that connection with people, and people have always been able to share and talk to me. And I think too with hairdressing, the minute they say, hairdressers, doctors, masseurs, we have the license to touch, don't we?
Mm.
We have the license automatically to touch someone without even saying, "Can I touch your hair?" Because you're coming in to have a haircut or a color, you're automatically trusting yourself with that person to touch you. You don't do
Mm.
that with everyone that you meet, do you?
No.
No, and here you are, you're having a consultation because in our salon was, very professional. Before we even touched anyone, we would have a consultation. We would get a diagnosis of, so to speak, like a doctor, of what they wanted, what they didn't want, analyze their facial features, skin tones for colors, etc., etc. So the minute you touch someone and they're comfortable, what happens?
Instant connection. There's a connection. Yeah.
Right, and
There's
there's this
some type of connection.
correct, and people often talk. They will tell
Mm.
you things they even ask to know, because that was a thing too. We were never allowed to ask questions, and we're never allowed to give advice. Yeah, so
Mm.
it would be the client that would just go ahead and express, and we'd just say, "Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting." That was the key word. That's interesting. And
Hmm.
yeah, so why am I telling you this? Because that's where all of it began, but I didn't know. And then I transitioned to be a personal trainer. Again, another license to touch, because when you're assisting someone with an exercise or you're correcting their posture, you're lightly touching them. Then you're going a bit further now, you're touching their body. You're not just touching their head and around the ears and possibly down the neck. Um, you're touching other parts of their bodies. So again,
Hmm.
there's this trust, there's this um, you know, feeling confident to be able to share with that instructor or coach or whatever. And of course, you'd stretch your client at the end, because that was part of my service, that they would get a 10-minute stretch with me. And they used to love it. Some people used to come in for a full hour, for full hour stretching.
Wow.
They want to be trained. They just want to be stretched, and which is like a workout anyway. So I moved that, and then where the women would start talking about their relationships when I was doing personal training, and you know, things would come up, and everything always evolves around, I've got to pick up the kids, or he never helps me. He just like, if only he knew how I felt, and he just doesn't understand me, and just all these type of statements or conversation starters,
Hmm.
and there'd be this conversation flow, and that's when I started my coaching while I was doing my personal training to learn more about coaching people, and I decided to coach women. But then in the meantime, I was still getting men that were coming to me and asking me questions. But they wouldn't complain, so to speak. Like the women would more like express pain and frustration and everything. Men would express more curiosity, like, what is she thinking? Like, what do you think she's thinking, Stefania? What do you think I should do? It's like I would be their, you know, their advocate to, or their, I don't know, what do you call it when you consult someone, like personal consultant, with directing them as to what a woman could be possibly thinking. So I'd give them this, different possibilities of what she may be going through. Now, in the same time, I was having relationships too, wasn't I? It's like it's not like I wasn't having relationships. I was having relationships, and there were things that, I mean, I had some beautiful men in my life. They were not all great, but there were some that were, but just if there was someone like me back then to be able to coach them, to be able to guide them, enlighten them, to step in their power, to be confident, to whatever a man needs at that particular time, or to even heal from past relationship trauma. I've kind of experienced it all, right? I thought that would be amazing. Now, I know these women, like, there's a lot of women coaches out there. There's a lot of women helping women. There's these women empowerment groups, and step into your woman power, use your voice, and which is all great, right? But the stories and everything that was happening with the men, I felt that there wasn't enough, people helping the men. And I know there's male coaches out there, male to male therapy is really great. But does another man really know how a female really feels? And can that man be really an advocate for both genders, Because ultimately that man, who wants a woman to be their partner, doesn't exactly know how a woman feels. Right? Now, as a coach, men have said to me, "Well, Stefania, how do you know? How do you know how a man feels?" I said, "You're right. I don't know how a man feels. You're absolutely right. But I do know how a female feels. And you can share to me how you feel and express your point of view, but I can only give you information based on what you're presenting." So that's why what I do is so specific and personalized to every individual man. And
Yeah.
now, yes, in the beginning, when making that transition and really working it, there were a lot of self-sabotaging thoughts going through my mind, because I was also listening to external influence, where predominantly men would challenge me and say, "Well, what do you know? Like, another woman, you're just on the women's side. You're just yeah, I won't go into what they said, but it was pretty nasty. It was nasty. Some of the stuff was really nasty, and it really did affect me, because that was not my intention. That was my whole sole intention, was to be of service and to, empower men, not emasculate them. And
Explain that.
right, emasculation, or when you this term of emasculating, is when you tear a man down, you disempower him, you are presenting conversations to, you're condescending, you're gaslighting him. That is emasculating a man. I actually help men to step in their power and not allow themselves to be put in that position, or if they are in that position, how to get out of that position very quickly,
Mm.
very quickly, regardless of who the woman is and how great the sex is and how whatever else you want to add to that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, I was not all about that. And, it's really interesting because from the female point of view, some women just absolutely love what I do because I'm helping them indirectly,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm preparing these men for these beautiful, wonderful women
Yes.
that are out there. And I tell men, they are out there. Not all women are, the common quote unquote gold diggers. Not all women are, out to get you. Not all women are just going to, break your heart.
Mm-hmm.
As a man, you have to do your groundwork as well. You have to be
Right.
prepared. And like I did in my last video not long ago, if you saw my vegetable patch and I related it to relationships, when you prepare a garden bed for either vegetables or flowers or whatever, you have to prepare that soil. So
Mm-hmm.
when you put that seed in, it's going to flourish. You've got to water it. You've got to nurture it. Well, the same thing goes with a relationship. Now that soil, gentlemen, is you. The soil is the man preparing himself. And even for women, we could even apply this to the women as well.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm talking in context with men, I say, you have to prepare yourself before you start putting seeds in there. Because when that soil's ready, you'll know whether to accept that seed and let it flourish or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, when you actually have a plant that pops up, I said, you're going to attract all sorts of insects and bugs.
Mm-hmm.
Get the story,
Mm-hmm.
the metaphor that I'm
Mm-hmm.
using here? Now, not all bugs are bad.
Right.
Not all bugs are bad. We have the bees, which is part of the bug family, right? They're bees and flies. Flies don't upset anyone. They annoy humans, but they don't do anything to plants. But a bee, what does a bee do?
Pollinate, repollinate.
Right. And it will bring and take and pollinate
Mm-hmm.
here and take from there. And yeah. So do you
Mm-hmm.
want the bees in your life? The beautiful queen bees.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, this is a lot of, I'm really going a bit deeper into how I kind of want men to understand what I do and know there's no issue or problem that is too big that can't be transformed in one shape or form. And I use that very, with conviction, because you can transform if you so desire, if you're ready and you want it. If you don't want it and you're in doubt and you're not sure and you're not ready, and that's okay. You may just
Mm-hmm.
need to hang out and watch a few more videos and watch a few more other presentations, go through a few more relationship failures,
Mm-hmm.
which aren't failures.
They're not.
They are
They're
lessons.
lessons.
They're lessons. You will call them a failure, but if you really stop and look at what has just happened, what have I learned from this? What
Mm-hmm.
won't I do again? What will I, be more vigilant to the next time something like this comes my way?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I had that very same conversation with someone this morning. They said, it was just a waste of time. I think I was the right person for, them, but I was deaf. They weren't the right person for me. And I said, and that person said it was a waste of time. And I said, actually, Was it a waste of time, or did you learn something? I said, "I know this might sound really harsh, and it might be a hard pill to swallow." I said, "But you needed to learn that. You needed to experience that as horrible as it may have felt, because I'm pretty sure you're not gonna do it again." Man said, "What did you learn?" Yeah, so, and the conversation went on. But yeah, that's the, I guess the journey I've been through. And yes, it has been challenging with saying, "Okay, Stefania, stick to it, stick to it, stick to it." And there's been many times, I won't lie, that I've wanted to give up. I mean, I've always said,
Mhm.
"No, this is it. This is it." But no, it hasn't been it. It has just been a moment of it. A
Right,
moment of it.
right.
I'm just so grateful, and I will still continue.
Yes, yes. Because, truth be told, we need, um, coaches like you to be able to, help heal because the pain is coming from a woman. And here you are, a woman that is a coach. What is really happening behind the scenes is that when they're engaging with you, they're healing at the same time because that pain came from a woman and you are a woman and they're facing you and they're talking to you. What they don't know is that the healing has started when they start talking to you.
Amen. Oh my God, that just gives me goosebumps. That is so true,
Yeah,
Zanetta, because
yeah,
they've got to have the courage to actually, step out of their comfort zone to say, "Yep, let's chat," because that's all it is. It's a chat.
yes,
Let's have a
yeah,
conversation. Chat with Stefania. I'm always inviting them to have a chat, and more and more men are actually feeling more comfortable with that because the more I kind of show up, and they get to know a bit more about me. And I know I share some things on Facebook, bits and pieces of my own personal, of what I do, and I don't do it to be showy. I just want people to know that I'm real.
yeah.
I do nerdy things and get in the garden and
Yeah,
plants
yeah. You show
and
you show your everyday life. You show your I love it when you come on that one time that you had your rollers in. I was like, "Oh my God, this is just golden. This is just yes." Because you don't see that with the influencers. You don't see the vulnerable side. You don't see the human, the human side as we call it. I mean, we're all humans but we label it as the human side,
mm,
so that's just wonderful. So yeah, Wayne said, looks like I'm being ignored, possibly. Wouldn't be the
no.
first time, lol. I guess he was out or tuned out or signed off when I was actually addressing your questions.
Oh, you have to watch the replay.
so um so yeah, there's so much uh to Stefania um that uh more that because we can't put it all in an hour. We're
Yeah,
already at an hour right now.
yeah.
um but there's more, so we're going to stay on this topic and we're going to get to know each other, and then Stefania has full reign to ask me questions.
Yes, exciting, exciting. And I just wanna
Yeah.
say one more thing too, to anyone that's
Mhm.
listening, is to know that, when I answer anyone on Messenger or, if it's LinkedIn or any kind of platform, because 'cause I'm kind of all over in all platforms, it's me. Some people don't believe it's me. And I have some people that just ring me, because they think it's not me. They think it's some bot or some, you know
Or an assistant.
Yeah, and I just wanna say that it's me, because I'm just so precious about what content I put out there. I'm also very precious about what interaction is happening between, my clients or followers, because yeah, I want them to know it's coming from me.
Mm-hmm.
I have
Mm-hmm.
a connection with them, not my VA who,
Right.
um, which I don't have a VA. I do everything at the moment. I'm being honest, because I haven't kind of let go, and I just love it. I love doing the creative part. I love connecting with people. I love all of it. So, I mean, there will come a time where I will have to, and that's fine. But yeah, I still enjoy that connection.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. I like, answering, the actual um, messages because um, I want I like to see people win. I like um, to see people get that aha moment.
Right.
That they have that strength in them. You know, you know. I didn't do anything really. I know Monica, said that I have, and Zanetta helped me through that. So there's a lot of things that Monica would say. Let me see, where was it? Where is it? Okay, here we go. Zanetta helped me through a tough time. That is because I knew I could trust her totally without judgment. Um, because I believe in each and every one of us, we have the genius. And because of, we have the answers within us. We do. We're born with it. We're given it. We're gifted with it. And because of life, because of hurts and traumas and things like that, outside voices, sometimes we start to look in the mirror that is fogged up. And all I'm doing is dusting it off. And you actually do the hard work. You've come to me like, oh, Zanetta, I could have never done that. All I did was say some words and you did it. You did the hard work. You did the hard work. So that's what I like to see. I like to see, that strength, that um, uh, that champion, that hero, that heroine showing up, because every hero story, there's always this moment in their life where they're really down, and then somebody, in their life reminds them, you do know you have superpowers.
We do. But what's so special is, to have someone reflect that back to you is just gold. It's priceless and it's beautiful. And, if you do have someone like that, a coach, I always say coaches need coaches, even coach friends that are genuine and, they're there for your best interest. There's nothing wrong with it. We,
Yeah.
we all are teachers and students to each other. So yeah, and you've helped me heaps, Anetta. You've helped me.
You have helped me too, Stefania.
So
Yeah. So I'm looking at the clock. I'm
yeah,
very
no.
cognizant of
Oh yeah,
your time.
I've got to go.
And so yeah, so let's continue this until next time.
Next week, yeah,
And
I get
yeah.
to ask you questions,
Oh,
and
okay.
maybe the audience may have questions for you too.
Oh yes. And Wayne did ask, when is question time? Anytime is question time, Wayne. So if you're watching this on the replay, do know that you can ask questions at any given time of the show, and I will. We're looking at the comments. We're looking at the chat, but I don't like to. And I'm pretty sure Stefania is the same way. But we don't like to interrupt, the flow of whoever is speaking, because we want to be able to get that immediate download.
Yes, and we will get back. We will get to your questions, so don't worry.
Yes, we
If we
will.
don't answer them, we will get back to them.
All right.
Thank you. All right. Well, Zanetta, this was great. I
Yeah.
enjoyed this. I enjoyed this surprise.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I didn't expect that at all. But
No, you.
yeah, I love it. I love surprises. And as I say, even when I'm in podcasts, when I get asked to go on a podcast, and they say, "Oh, what questions?" I said, "I don't want to know what question." I said, "Let's make this organic." I love organic conversations because that way you get the best out of me. You get that, that what you called a download, that immediate download. You're being in
Yes.
that, you're being in that, now. You're in
Yeah.
that beingness rather than
Yes.
having to do energy. We want to
Right.
be, and I love it.
Right.
So
It's like it just reminded me of, back in the Philippines, we have this pump, this, fresh, it's really fresh water. It's really, you have a sweetness to it. But in order for you to get the water out, you have to prime it first. So I believe that when you ask a question and you prime it, and then here comes this sweetness, this, this liquid of life that you need. So yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
that's
love
what.
it. I like
Love it,
that.
love it, love it. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
All right. So Zanetta, until
yes.
next week, yeah?
Next week,
We
are
want to
we
say
going to be on the same time?
back to normal time. Is that better
We're
for
back.
you, or do you want to stick to this time? I don't know. Let's
Yeah,
see what happens because it's a
we
good kind of
yeah we can stick to this
well,
time.
yeah, because I know you have a time change coming up too.
Yes,
So
that's okay.
okay,
Yeah, we can stick to, if we have a time change, we'll still stick to
work
six.
around it.
Yeah,
Okay, good for me. I'm good.
good.
All right. So thank you to everybody who's chimed in, who's
Yes,
here live. Remember, #live, #replay, and ask us questions. Give us some ideas for topics as well, because we're always open for that.
yes. And hello, Natalie. Give us a shout out. She's in training. Yeah, Natalie Davis. So she said, "Hi, Mama B." She calls me Mama B.
Okay. Hi, Natalie.
Love it. All right. And there's Lucy.
You can hear her because that's the
Yes.
phone's ringing, and that's her calling out to us to say, pick up the phone. Now, that's all good. That's why I've got to, when I do any kind of recording, I have to turn everything off. So nothing rings, nothing
Oh,
interruptions.
got it. Got it.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
All right,
Well, all
Zanetta.
right.
So we will sign off and say, as we
We
say,
send you love.
and we send you passion.
Till
Bye for
next
now.
time.